Warning: viewers' discretion is advised as this may contain mature or triggering content. Story prompt: Friendship. Title: The Problem with Emotions. Hey, Weston! You ready for Vicky's birthday party this weekend? Leo asked as he smacked his best friend's shoulder. Weston groaned. Dude, how many times have I told you to stop that? Leo simply chuckled, his blue eyes shining with excitement as he tied up his long dark blonde hair. Didn't answer my question, though. Are you ready? Weston sighed. Of course. We can't let her spend that day alone. Leo nodded. I hope you prepared something good. My gift for her is already wrapped up. And by wrapped up you mean thrown into a plastic bag, Weston said as he rolled his eyes. Not this time. I actually took the time to properly wrap it. Weston rolled his eyes once again. I'll believe it when I see it. Just you wait. You both are going to be shocked, Leo said with a smile before going silent as Vicky headed in their direction. What are you two doing? You're blocking the doorway. They smiled at her before Weston ran a hand through his short black hair. Leo here was bragging about how he actually wrapped your birthday present up in a proper manner this time. Vicky lifted her brow. Oh, really? Were you sick? Leo blushed slightly. No, it's just you're turning 18, which means you'll soon be free to live your life how you want without those people watching your every move. I thought it'd be nice to take time on this one. She laughed softly before grabbing their arms and dragging them outside with her. You two mean the world to me. I hope you know that. Weston and Leo locked eyes before smiling at her. We know. The three of them always walked home from school, Leo being the first stop before Weston and Vicky arrived at their houses, which were across from each other. She was getting ready to head inside, but Weston grabbed her hand. Vicky, I have something to say. His green eyes seemed nervous, and he couldn't seem to look her in the face. What's up? He took in a few breaths, seeming to gather his confidence. I like you. Shock crossed Vicky's face for a moment. Well, I like you too. Weston shook his head, his grip on her hand growing a bit tighter. That's not what I meant, and you know it. Vicky stared at him for a moment. I don't know how to respond to that, Weston. Not right now. He frowned, letting go of her hand. So, you feel nothing for me then? She shook her head. I do, but I don't think it's what you want from me. I love you like a brother. We grew up together and... Do you love Leo? Anger filled his voice, even though he knew he had no reason to be mad. What? Leo! Do you love him then? Vicky frowned. No, he is also like a brother to me. Weston scoffed at her. We aren't kids anymore, Vicky. And you are lying to me about how you feel? Why would I lie about this? He turned, heading to his house, and Vicky reached out, grabbing his hand, but he slapped it away. I need time to think. She rubbed her stinging hand, watching him vanish into his house, leaving her confused and hurt. She honestly didn't feel that way about either of them. She had someone she liked, but he had already rejected her. The tears she'd been holding back began to spill, and she headed for a nearby park. Was he going to ignore her from here on out? Would he try to start a fight with Leo? Leo! If he didn't know anything about this, then Weston might actually start something without bothering to talk first. He had seemed so mad. She pulled out her phone, texting Leo, but instead of him responding through text, he called. She wasn't ready to talk, She was still crying, but she had to answer. Hello? Her voice was strained. What's going on, Vicky? What was that text about? Are you okay? A harsh laugh left her as she wiped at her tears. Not really. Where are you? She could hear the worry in Leo's voice. The park near my house. She wasn't sure why she was even telling him this, but she didn't want to be alone. If Leo loved her like Weston, perhaps this would be the end of their little group's long friendship. I'll be right there. Just sit tight. The call ended and Vicky tried to mentally prepare herself to lose Leo as well. She had known Weston since they were babies, and they had known Leo since first grade. She loved them both deeply because they had gotten her through her parents' death. It had been even worse that they had died on her birthday, but Leo and Weston had been there for her. They had helped her pull through, and that was why she cherished them so much. She was pulled from her thoughts by the sound of running footsteps, and then Leo skidded to a stop in front of her. He didn't have time to catch his breath before she stood, rushing him, and burying her face into his chest. Vicky cried and Leo held her, patting her back. It's okay, he said in a soft voice. He was worried. Her text had been a mess, and since she'd been crying, it made sense. Just breathe. I've got you, Vicky. They stood there for about 20 minutes before she wasn't able to cry anymore. I'm sorry. He shook his head. What's going on? Your text was a jumbled mess, and I quote, "Where out Wes much hurt you?" Sorry, but I couldn't make heads or tails of that. Though hearing you cry, I can understand now. What's going on? She laughed slightly. Sorry, I should have double-checked that, but Wes confessed to me. Leo instantly went rigid against her, and she looked at him. Her fears started to become reality. I wanted to warn you. He seems to think that I like you, but I don't. She felt him flinch, and she knew it then and there, without even looking at him. He liked her as well. I see. She rushed on. I love you both very much, but you guys are like brothers to me, and he snapped and I. She thought for sure he'd push her away, but he didn't. I had already confessed to the guy I liked, and he rejected me, so when Wes snapped, Leo sighed, resting his head on top of hers and not letting her go. We both love you, Vicky. And no, to us, you are not like a sister. We love you as a woman. We have for a while now. He and I had made a deal to tell you this on your birthday, but I see he couldn't keep his patience. She frowned. But He finally pulled back and let her go, and she felt sort of cold. It hurts hearing that you don't like either of us that way, but who is this bastard that rejected you? His face was serious, and she couldn't help but chuckle slightly. It's Gel. Wait, that nerdy boy? Stop, he isn't that nerdy. He's just very serious about his studies, which is why he rejected me. Oh, so your type is the nice, soft-spoken nerds. I'll keep that in mind. She stared at him, but he smirked. I'm just kidding. You know I hate studying. Sports will always be my thing. She laughed softly and he smiled. There's the smile and laugh I love. Look, Weston has known you longer, so maybe his feelings run deeper than mine. But just give him some time, okay? She nodded. Thank you, Leo. I probably wouldn't have gone home if it weren't for you. He shook his head. I know it's creeping up. Are you having nightmares again? Vicky nodded, rubbing at her arms. Do you want to come stay at my place? My mom would love to see you, and my older sister, well, you know how much she likes you as well. She bit her lip. I don't. What if Weston sees me leaving with you in a bag? He'll get the wrong idea, and. And if he comes charging out of his house, I'll beat him black and blue. I see that bruising on your hand, and I know it's from him. I told him so many times to rein in his strength. She looked down at her hand. She hadn't even noticed. It must be from when he smacked me. He can be an asshole, but if he knew he actually hurt you, he'd feel awful. Maybe we should barge in and let him know. Vicky shook her head. No, I just. A meal your mom makes sounds amazing. I'll take you up on your offer. Then let's go get you an overnight bag, and go. Mom is making chili tonight. Oh, she makes the best chili. They headed for her house, grabbing a bag and leaving. Thankfully, Weston didn't see them. Or if he did, he was too pissed to even step outside and confront them. Either way, Vicky was glad he didn't show up. They made their way to Leo's house, and his older sister practically tackled her to the ground, jabbering on about all the new things she had learned in college and wanted to try out on her. She was dragged away, leaving Leo and his mom alone. Sorry to bring her like this, but Weston confessed to her, and then she likes someone else and was rejected by them, and I couldn't just. His mom smiled, holding her arms out open, and he hugged her. I love her so much, Mom, but I won't get upset at her and hurt her. His mom patted his back. It's okay, sweetie. Sometimes being the one to support her and not hurt her works in your favor. Though I'm not saying you're doing so to take advantage of that. I know you're just a sweet boy who cares about her. She cried so much, and Weston, he hurt her, even if it wasn't on purpose. Leo's mom sighed. That boy can have a temper at times, but I don't see him being one to hurt Vicky on purpose either. You three have always been very close ever since you met. He nodded. I know, but that may fall apart. Weston is stubborn, and I doubt he'll set his feelings aside. She sighed. I doubt he will either, but at least I know you can hold your own against him. Better yet, you can put him in his place. Just make sure you all stay safe. He nodded with a smile. I will, Mom. I'm sure we can work things out in time. The next day, they woke up to it being cloudy and rainy. Vicky stared out the window. Can we skip school? Leo's mother shook her head. I know it's Friday, but not in my household. Eat your food and get going. Vicky hated the rain. It reminded her of her parents. She stared at the food and jumped slightly when a hand rubbed her back. I know it's hard, but you aren't alone. It's going on 3 years since they passed away. You guys were such a loving family, even I was jealous. But they are still watching over you. I told you at their funeral you can come here whenever you need someone to talk to. Vicky nodded, giving her a half smile. Thank you. It really does mean the world to me. I just wish they had caught that bastard who hit them. Leo's mom gave her a gentle hug from behind. I wish they had as well. The nerve of some people. She smiled, enjoying the comfort from Leo's mom. It made her not miss her mom and dad so much, like she still had a parent in her life. It wasn't the same, but it was comforting nonetheless. They finished eating, and Leo held an umbrella while they walked together. You doing okay? He asked her, and she sighed. I've been better. I was rejected and then confessed to by my two best friends. It's a lot to process. He smirked slightly. Well, don't feel too pressured. We've been waiting to tell you for a while now. Waiting a bit longer won't bother us. She laughed slightly. Are you sure about that? I see how it is. So you lied to me about your feelings for him. Then you go spend the night with him and act like everything is just peachy. Leo and Vicky jump at the sound of Weston's voice. He was leaning against the gated entrance of the school, soaked. Vicky rushed to him. That's not it at all. Why are you like this? You're gonna get sick. Weston shoved her away, and Leo caught her. Hey, Wes! I know you like her, and I do too, but that's no reason to be an ass. She doesn't like either of us like that. Weston scoffed. Sure. Lying to me now as well? Did you two have fun? How long have you been seeing each other? How long have you been spending the night at his place, Vicky? I didn't know you were so... He didn't get to finish his words before Leo punched him in the face. Weston staggered slightly before rushing Leo and punching him back. Guys! Vicky squealed, but they were too busy beating each other up. Guys! Vicky moved in, trying to get between them, but Weston went to kick Leo off of him, and instead kicked Vicky straight in the gut. Everything felt like it happened in slow motion, as Vicky flew backwards, hitting the road with a harsh thud. She struggled to move, let alone breathe, and then there was a car horn. She saw them in shock, Leo rushing to reach her before she was blinded by light, feeling pain, and then nothing. Weston was frozen in place, and Leo's legs gave out from under him as the car hit Vicky, and then crashed into the school's bricked wall. Her body unmoving as blood pooled out under her. Someone else had called the cops, and an ambulance. They stared at her body as it was lifted onto a stretcher. Their parents arrived, taking them to get checked over, but neither of the boys wanted to be helped. They kept asking about how Vicky was doing, and then they were informed. Vicky hadn't survived the surgery. She was gone. Leo's mother took over the proceedings for Vicky, since she didn't have any living family. She gave Vicky a proper funeral and burial. The person who had hit her was found to be drunk and driving as well. But even so, Weston and Leo never once spoke to each other again. They would both visit Vicky's graves at different times, unable to get over the fact that she had died thanks to them fighting. Weston never once loved again, and Leo, after years had gone by, finally managed to open his heart. The end! You guys have no idea how much I struggled on who I wanted to kill. Either way, this was going to end up kind of tragic. It took me a while. I strongly debated killing Leo, but I couldn't. He's just that strong boyo with a super heart, and I have a weak spot for those kind of characters. Now, I did think about killing Weston, but I wanted him to suffer. Like, he needed to suffer because he couldn't get his emotions under control, and it all happened thanks to him. Not even bothering to, talk it out. Just, years of friendship right down the toilet. But that's how it happens sometimes. It literally all falls apart just like that. So, a little bit of a life lesson there. First, talk before actions. It sometimes helps. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. And if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!